Everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Women of Banking podcast. About Katie with me. Hi, Katie. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Can't complain. All good. Thank you for being a part of the family of Women of Banking. Right. So we would like to welcome you to the podcast. Thank you again for doing this for us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited and honored.
Complete pleasure. Quick introduction who Katie is. Katie is CAO, Chief Administrative Officer of Global Credit Union. Imagine she is not based, Global is based in Alaska. So someone has their work location as Alaska. So you can be jealous. You might not be jealous, but I'm borderline jealous about that. So she works out of Alaska, been in credit unions for a decade and in financial services for more than 2 decades. That's who Katie is. In case Katie have missed, obviously, I mean, it's not possible to summarize your 2 decades of experience in 20 seconds. And if you want to add something, please feel free.
Sure, I will. Alaska is amazing and you should definitely visit. I actually lived there for about 8 years, but I've now transitioned to Arizona. So I'm down here where it's 110. So I'd much rather be in Alaska right now. Yeah, just quickly, as you said, been in banking for 20 years. I started as a teller. And I've just really kind of worked my way up through different departments, retail, accounting, human resources. So I've seen a lot of different sides of banking. Been in banking, been with credit unions. Obviously, I'm at a credit union now. So I've seen a lot of things.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the reason it's more fun having a conversation with you because you've seen pretty much all the sides of a financial institution and now a CAO. So you have a holistic understanding of how a credit union slash a financial institution actually works.
Yeah.
Let me start the conversation with one overarching question about defining moments, right? So you've gone through, multiple leadership roles across multiple organizations, regions, right? So what were the defining moments that actually shaped your leadership philosophy?
It's a good question. I think if I think about it, I've had a couple. One for sure was moving kind of into a broader executive leadership role. I spent a lot of time doing more operational things. And I think when you're doing operational things, you are a different leader than when you move into a more strategic role. But I think that the experiences I got when being kind of a more operational leader, I took with me as I transitioned into a more strategic leadership role. And those things evolved and changed. So that was probably one of the defining moments. I think a couple other ones is I really stopped viewing being a leader as somebody who has all the answers. I'm okay with saying I don't know the answer and getting back to you. I feel like that kind of humanizes you a little bit.
Yep.
And I think just being more cognizant about kind of creating transparency and trust for employees was more important than being the one to have all the answers. So I think that was also something that really clicked in my brain as I've gone through my leadership journey.
I think that's very important, right? I mean, what you talked about, it's very important. Otherwise, you end up becoming a machine and not a human being, for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. Now, I mean, as a CEO, you oversee areas that directly influence both employee experience and as well as organizational culture. You sit in the melting pot of that. That's your role. So how do you create a people first culture, right? While still ensuring that operational efficiency or excellence gets driven?
That is a good question. I think they kind of go hand in hand. I don't think you can have one without the other. And I think the organizations that are strongest understand that they're really connected. I think that employees perform better when they understand the expectations and they feel supported. I think kind of on the creating people first culture, one thing we've really focused on here at Global is creating employee feedback loops. So employees have the opportunity to have their voice heard. And also we've been a lot more transparent about what we're doing as a result of their feedback. So people really want to know that their voice matters. So I think that is important. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we've lowered our expectations as it relates to kind of operational excellence or being operationally sound. I think you have to have accountability and empathy to be successful. So you can really care deeply about your employees, but you still can maintain high standards, operational excellence. So I think they really do go hand in hand.
Makes sense. Now the next is about more of culture, right? Like, I mean, any community FI is really deeply relationship driven focused, right? I mean, we talk about, what is our business? Our business is people business. We are in a people's business always, right? So in your view, Katie, what makes leadership in a credit union like different from what we see in other traditional corporate where we always talk about optimizing or maximizing shareholder returns.
Yeah. Well, I've been fortunate enough to have been not only in banking and the financial industry and credit unions, but I've been in other industries as well. So I have seen a lot of different sides. And I think the one thing I love the most about credit unions is it's incredibly mission and community driven. I mean, credit union slogan is people helping people. And I think that that is really evident in our employees helping our members and our employees helping each other. And I think the message that we're sending to our employees that they are serving our members through kind of the most pivotal moments in their lives, buying a home, planning for retirement, if they have like a financial hardship. I think when you pass that message on to the employees, it makes their level of responsibility and kind of purpose for what they're doing, a lot more important. So I think people are driven to those types of organizations where they feel connected to a mission. And I think credit unions really do a great job of connecting their mission to their employees and everybody understanding that they're there for a bigger purpose.
That's the reason you work for a credit union. There's a reason for it, right? Why do you work
Yeah,
for a credit union?
absolutely.
I think I also come from the other side of the world, working for profit organizations for like almost half of my career. But when I came to credit unions, I promised myself one thing, that I'm not going away from credit unions ever. Right? This is where I feel my heart is there. It's where we're actually helping people, not
I
just making money out of it, right?
Yeah, I agree. When I was in banking, I always was one of those people that was like, credit unions, I'm not really sure about that. And once I got into one, I understand now, drinking the credit union Kool-Aid, as they say.
Yeah, I have mentioned about this phrase maybe 100 times that yes, I've
Yeah.
drank the credit union Kool-Aid now.
Yeah,
I don't think I'll be able to go back to
it's a
doing
real
something
thing
else.
for
It's a
sure.
real thing.
Yeah.
So next question is about, you spent years in human resources and talent development, right? So that's been a huge portion of your career. What are the few, some of the biggest challenges that you've seen in workplace expectations, especially from younger professionals entering today? Because, there are pieces of, not problems, but yes, pieces of things that I need to adjust with Gen Zs coming in the population in the new mix. They're very different than millennials or the ones above. Right? So how do you tackle that?
Yes, that is a good question. And I've honestly seen even just a shift since the pandemic, just in the last 6 years, a shift has been pretty big. I think one of the things is I think younger professionals today are looking for more than a paycheck. Again, they want that purpose. They want to grow with the organization. Flexibility is huge. Being able to work from home, having flexible hours. I feel like that is something that's really different with this generation. And transparency from leadership, which also means I feel like they want their leaders to be more accessible, which again, just being a little bit more human. I think also one of the biggest things I've seen is around kind of employee development. What we've seen from our employees, from employee feedback surveys, is that they want to understand what does their future look like. They want coaching, they want feedback, and they want opportunities. So I
Yep.
think that those are probably the biggest differences that I've seen.
Haven't you seen this new generation? I mean, I'm 32. I'm talking about the 24, 25-old kids, right? I still, term them as kids. They're very direct. They're like, we can do this. Yes, we cannot do this. We cannot do this. They're very direct. And I love that about the generation of,
Yeah,
gone are the days where you're still working to make people happy. No, you're working to make a difference and to pay your bills. Simple. They are so clear about it.
very much. Yes, I have noticed that too.
Absolutely. Now, Group Credit Union has continued expanding and evolving. You're different. I think you're named differently now. That name changed. So during periods of growth and what, for the lack of a better, was transformation, because transforming the entire operating model, you're growing all together. How do you still maintain alignment, maybe trust and engagement across teams?
Well, as you said, name change, we've done a merger, we've done an acquisition over the last few years. We've had a lot of change. I think from my perspective, and maybe it's also because this is something that falls under kind of my umbrella, I think communication is probably one of the most important things that leaders can do during these periods of change. And it's really it's not just updates. Employees want to understand the story. They want the context that goes with it. They want to understand why decisions are being made. And so I feel like you really cannot over communicate in these situations. I think one of the things that I've learned and I try to instill in everybody else is that as a leader, you kind of mentally move on after the announcement because you've been working through these objectives and you've been working through these initiatives for many, many months, maybe even years. And sometimes we don't understand that when we announce these things to employees, it's their first time hearing it. So it's going to take them some time to process things. And so I think we need to kind of shift our perspective in the way that we communicate with employees. And I think that when you become good communicators, you're building consistency, you're building transparency, and those things build trust, which in my mind is the biggest thing.
Sure. Now a bit not loaded question, but still, it's. I mean, how do you balance accountability with empathy as a leader? Because it's a very difficult balance.
It is a really difficult balance. I think that this kind of goes back to the question you talked about, kind of people first and operational excellence. I think empathy and accountability also like work hand in hand. I don't think you can have one without the other. And if you do, you kind of are off balance. Empathy obviously is something that helps you understand what somebody's experiencing, and being accountable is you're maintaining standards and you're building trust with that person. And I think as a leader, there are times when you have to make really, really hard decisions or have hard conversations. And I don't think you should be shying away from those moments, but handling them and being transparent as possible, but also having empathy for the person sitting on the other side of you. So I think one of the things that helps me with that is that I lead with the assumption that everybody generally wants to do well. Like most people want to do well. They don't want to do a bad job, but there's going to be moments where you have to have those hard conversations because people aren't doing well. And I sometimes think that if you just listen to somebody and spend time understanding where they're coming from, things will come out in those conversations that will help you with that accountability piece as well.
Well, that's absolutely, well taken. I understand that.
Yeah.
Next, Katie, is, I mean, a lot of women aspire to reach true leadership positions that you have been able to, right? But it's not easy. There are a lot of, confidence gaps or visibility gaps that people that are always there, right? And it's not easy to, I would say, fulfill them, right? My question is, if you were to give advice or share any advice to women who want to step into executive leadership, right? What would that be?
I was just talking about this. We were in a breakout session in a conference, and it was kind of women focused. And it was said in there that many women, myself included, they like tend to wait until they feel like they have every qualification mastered before they raise their hand for opportunity. And
That's a biggest problem.
I'm just here to say that don't wait until you're 100% ready, because you are never going to be. You are never going to know everything. You're never going to feel like you're 100% ready.
True.
You need to understand and have the confidence that whoever has recommended you for the role or, guided you along your path has the confidence that you are ready.
Can do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you should have that confidence in yourself too. And so I think it's really important that people just say, like, you have to raise your hand. And for me, I think growing happens in the role, not before it. So I think you just have to go for it and fake it till you make it. Honestly.
That's what I'm bad about. I can't fake it.
Yeah. And you got to be honest with yourself and other people. And if you don't, like I said, if you don't know the answer, raise your hand and say you don't know the answer. It's better than trying to pull something out.
Absolutely. I think that's what people fear about, is accepting that, yes, I don't know this. So what next? So that's something very.
Exactly. Yes.
Let's do a couple of rapid fire questions, and then maybe, I'll ask you one last question, right? So one leadership habit that you literally swear by every day.
I talked about this just a little bit earlier. I think listening first, understanding, and then acting. I had my former boss tell me, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen more, talk less.
That's what my dad says, that I'm a horrible listener at times. So he asked me, the same thing. How many ears do you have? Like 2. Yeah. So you should listen more and talk less. I agree to it now. Yeah. I mean, I'm a chatterbox, so can't help.
That's good. You're in the right field. You're doing the right things.
Very weird question. Like what? Coffee meetings or Zoom meetings?
Always in person. So coffee.
Also coffee. Same. One word your team would use to describe you. Difficult question.
It is very difficult. I would say authentic.
That's the most important thing. So A very random question. If you wouldn't have been doing whatever you're doing right now, what career would you have chosen?
Well, that's a great question. I'm incredibly OCD, so I feel like I would have been a professional organizer, like gone into people's homes and helped them organize their life.
This was the best answer.
Yeah, it's true.
Professional organizer. Okay, that's interesting.
Or like a chief of staff, somebody who's like, trying to get everything together and organized and wrangling it all in.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, the answer to this next question can be a drink also. So what's your go-to way to recharge after a long week?
I love reality TV. I love anything on Bravo. And so
Mhm.
I doing that, like sitting on the couch watching reality TV and drinking some coffee is my idea of like a great weekend.
You're more sober than me for sure. Good. Nice. So one last question, Kitty, right? It's about if you were to give one piece of advice, one piece of career advice to maybe Katie 25 years back, what would that be?
Okay. Can I give two pieces? They're
Three.
quick.
Three.
I think the first one is always ask for what you want. The worst thing someone can say is no. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's where you grow, that's where you learn, and things can always be fixed for the most part.
So they're like three.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
This was great, Kitty. This was amazing. This was very good conversation. And again, thank you for your leadership, your time with us today, spent and shared your journey with us. Again, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for this
Thank you for having me. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
pleasure.